the goal was to come out with a race-ready bike. What is coming will be mind-blowing for most consumers.
Travis Console. I said that right?
Yeah, finally got it.
Finally. Tork USA.
Yeah.
You came all the way from California to Tucson. We're doing this in a way with like lav mics because like I just forgot all my shit at home. So I apologize for that.
No, that's all good.
There's a lot to get into, bro. I'm gonna try to stop moving so it doesn't like give anybody epilepsy on camera. But last time we were together was CKO.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to like preface this because not everybody has seen like the original conversation that we had. We met at TKO. We were like, let's do a podcast. We came to the camper. We did the podcast, and you lied to me the whole time. Okay. So like, because you had a lot more shit going on than you were willing to talk about at the time, which I understand.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to bust your balls too bad on that. I just want to state for the record that you lied right to my face. But all right. So much has happened since then, right? Like the races were crazy. Fast forward, what? It's like 8 months now, and we're in February, so.
Yeah, that was what, August, I think we were out there.
Yeah. Was it July?
I don't remember exactly, hot. But that was pretty intense setup that was going on out there.
Yeah, and then, all the things that have transpired since then, right? So, first of all, like I want to talk about Tork. We want to talk about Tork. I want to talk about the Sur-On thing. I like your input because, like, for anybody who doesn't know CRC, Motorsports, Power Sports, which one is it? Okay, CRC Motorsports. What is going on with that? Who is EMR?
EMR is our new race series.
Yeah,
and we are.
But like, who is that? Is that you? Like, you put that on too?
And Brandon from E-Ride LA.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's like you guys doing. Yeah, I knew you were putting
up,
on.
And we're trying to make a change for the industry. And trying to get some of these kids off the street and get them onto the dirt.
Yeah.
And give them a platform to actually go ride their bikes, because everything that's happening with the laws cracking down and, OHV is cracking down, there's really nowhere for them to go. So we're just getting our feet wet on creating these, venues for them to go and actually do something with these e-motos. Plus we're doing brand building and getting more brands involved with that. So that's only going to grow the industry as a whole and help everybody out. Right. So we're really enjoying what we're doing for everybody and putting those on.
I think so it didn't hit me like the whole California scene until I was there, right? We were there and we were staying in Orange at AIM Expo recently, and we drove out of the driveway in the morning, and I looked around and like everybody in the car, I was like, I get it now. Like I get it why everybody in California, the kids of California, ride street. Like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there's nowhere else to go. It's a concrete jungle, man.
Yeah, there's nowhere for them to go at all. I know there's some things in the works that is coming for the e-moto industry and for those kids to get off the street and do it properly.
Right.
And that kind of happened the same thing with motocross. So
same thing with BMX.
Same thing. Look at all the BMX parks that are going up now.
Yeah.
It's only going to be a matter of time until something comes out for e-moto.
Which is crazy because like BMX is like really non-existent. Like it's a niche core crowd of BMXers.
And I feel like it just started blooming again.
Yeah, like there's all these places.
Yeah.
When I was riding BMX, there was nowhere to ride. We were just getting harassed all the time. And then 10 years later, skate parks became a thing that like cities finally wrapped their mind around like the liability aspect. And then now we're in a spot where we're back. We're just restarting the cycle. You know what I mean? But with the EMR, Glenn Helen, how hard was it to get Glenn Helen to like be on board with that? I know you're close with them.
Yeah, I am close with them, but it's still a very difficult task to accomplish because it's new to Glenn Helen. And Glenn Helen's reputation is for vets, world championships, all gas e-moto. There's a long history of people that have been going there for, forever, and to bring a e-moto in with all these old school guys, they weren't super ecstatic about it. Right. So, but I think we've made a really good splash now to where they see it, they understand it, and they're working with us.
Right.
And they're the only ones right now that are actually giving us the opportunity to put that platform out for everybody. So I'm very thankful for Glenn Helen and what they're doing, and we're doing the best we can to make it even better.
Well, I mean, it seems like every single race gets a little bigger. Still haven't
Yeah, I
been,
believe
but
this last round we gained 104 riders, not entries, 104
Yeah.
riders from the
which is
previous.
crazy because each one of
So
those
that's
comes with how many
double
entries
to
or how many
triple.
is it a gate fee? Like you got to pay to get in the
So
venue?
you have to pay the gate fee that goes to Glen Helen.
Yep.
And then you have to pay for the race entry.
Right.
That's two separate
Right.
situations.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, gaining 104 riders is probably I would say around 150 entries additional to what we already had.
Yeah.
I do believe that this is the biggest race series ever in emoto. As you know, I've traveled all around and I've seen all the emoto races that have been going on. By far, this is the biggest one I've ever seen.
Right.
And I actually started this 2.5, 3 years ago at Glen Helen.
Right.
Charge Cycle Works got behind me. They helped sponsor it, and we had like 15 people. Like I said on the last podcast, I was like, "Yeah, we're doing it. It's here, you know." And now I look back to what we have now, and I truly believe it's here now.
Yeah.
And if the brands don't tap in, they're going to miss out.
Right. Right.
So they really need to tap in and get involved because it's only going to help their brand and manufacturer. And that's what we're here to do is do brand building and help the industry in a whole.
Right. Well, I mean, I think everything it started at nothing, right? 15 entries. And then now it's every major manufacturer is there right now for the most part, I think.
And I believe Bonell is doing like a debut on our next race.
Well, they're doing that thing in
Florida.
Daytona. And then they're going to do, well, that'll be a good time for them to release the bike.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that then, bro. Because I think that's like, I have my reservations. I just think any new bike that comes out, like even the Stark when it came out, dude, it was nothing but problems. And I'm not saying it's going to happen with Bonell. Like they got a lot of super smart people in their corner.
Yeah.
But where do you think, like from your experience, you've been around this, you've probably been doing the emoto stuff for as long at your level than anybody. Like, I don't know anybody else who's been as in-depth with each manufacturer, developing the race team, changing swing arms, adjusting suspension, rebuilding bikes from the ground up the second that they get to you. Where do you see Bonell in the market and like when they come in?
What I have seen as far as like market share and market brand awareness, I see, them going against Stark's level of
manufacturing
and their style marketing and real niche of people. That's kind of where I see that company going, and that aspect is more of a high end, lower, how would you say that? Not like
entry point, like price entry point?
No, not price entry point. It's more or less like they're going after higher end customers, so they're going to have less customers.
Right.
But I have nothing against that. I think that's a good business model, what they're doing, and I think they're going to do really well. I think Matt has probably a really good program going on over there.
Right.
I know Jason came over. Jason's super good guy, and they've leaned into the race series heavily with us.
Good.
And I think they're going to do really well as a brand.
Well, and then that also leads into Dust. Like that should be like a 2026 at some point arrival. And I think that they're actually trying to capture like that level of customer too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to have these three brands now competing for that same customer, which is only going to make those three brands better at the end of the day. But where do you see Dust as like fitting into that?
I don't know Colin personally like that, so I can't really speak on that behalf.
Right.
I don't really know their business model. I don't have any history, to be very honest with you, on Dust. But it's kind of like with Stark and Bonell, it's kind of like that Lamborghini Ferrari situation that happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I see their
that's a good way to put that.
Right.
And I mean, Dust has to fit somewhere in the middle there, or on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only way that they can do it. I have a theory about Dust.
I mean, at the end of the day, Torque will be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
that's our goal is to
that's
bring
the thing.
in.
Like you have that. That's a whole market that they're not serving. Like the market that you're serving is the market that they're not serving, which I think is good. Like the 7 ace size bikes, like 2026 is going to be the year of the big bike.
Yeah.
That's when it's evident when you go to AIM Expo, right?
Yep.
Everybody's here, and like this is going to be the year of the larger bikes that we've all been waiting for.
Yep.
Like,
And we're giving them a platform through EMR Racing
Right.
to come out and debut and actually put their bikes to the test and put them against what they can actually do on the track. And the dust thing, I've been reaching out to them for a while. I'm like, you guys need to come out and put the bike on the track in race conditions. You can't mimic race conditions.
Right.
And that's my philosophy behind Torque is
Right.
like, if this bike can handle Glen Helen, which is the roughest, baddest track through back-to-back motos, then our bike is good enough to go to a normal consumer that's barely going to touch a quarter of that. Right. And that's my philosophy behind this company.
Well, I think, so segueing, now we have what do we want to call this? I think we dubbed it something last time. I don't want to call it small because there's a whole list of small bikes now, like that are actual small, like the minis, you know? So this would be like that mid-size.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like
where do you see Torque?
Another thing with the race series is that we're trying to get the brands to lean in to create not exact, but a channel to where they have to follow and put, some type of sequence in the industry to where, okay, you're going to make a mini. Okay, what are those mini specs? Those mini specs need to follow what these other manufacturers are doing so we can classify them for these events. Right. It's super hard to create an event when everybody's all over the board with different specs, right? How do I change, how do I classify something that has a 1412 but has 15 kilowatts or whatever it is, right? And then you have a 1714 that has the same kilowatts. It's not the same wheelbase, not the same platform, and it's really hard to classify. So we're really leaning into the brands to, tighten everything up so we can classify these and create a long-term structure for them.
Well, you're gonna have, it's just about being, I see the approach, right? Like you're trying to do, it's 125, 250, 450, like it's that whole thing.
Yeah, 50, 85, or 50, 65, 85, 125, 250, 450.
Right. Super mini, don't forget the super
All
minis.
Those manufacturers are going in those specs, and then the race promoters can create the events off of those platforms. Right now, we don't have that because all the manufacturers are all over and they're just chasing money
numbers
and power.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything outside of that. So that's only going to last so long if there's no structure.
Right.
So we're trying to bring the structure in to make this a long-term industry.
Right. Well, and I think, so then that brings us to Torque, right? So how did you settle on the power numbers that you did? Like what's your philosophy behind that?
So
16.8, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
16.8 was just kind of where we landed. We were shooting for 16 because I feel like for the size bike, it's the perfect amount of power and it's a universal kind of power for everybody. It's not like too much power, but it's not too little of power. So 16, I feel like we landed right in the perfect power range. Like it's perfect for the trails, it's perfect for racing. You're not going to get super hurt on it. You don't have to spend a shit ton of money to go and upgrade it. I just think that was like the most ideal power range for the size and weight that we were going after.
Right. Well, I think, so you have 16 is like always been the most fun for me. I've always had the most fun at 16 kilowatts. Like we have to reference like the E-Ride, right? Like the 3.0. But what I like the simplicity of EcoSport, right?
Yeah.
Very simple. But I do feel like it would be better if it was like whatever, Eco, Sport, or something like 3. And like you guys have, like having 3 power modes to deliver the power differently, because like even in Eco, my wife can't get on the 3.0, right? Because she's still like, it's still
too much.
It's still too much, right?
Yeah.
So like at the 16 kilowatts, introducing another power mode is definitely needed. It's something that
and it hits all the demographics of different riders that are going to be getting on this bike from ages, 9 to 40 or 50 years old, whatever they're going to use it for. And that was the goal, is like, how do we capture from your little kid up to your adult that wants to go ride or chase their son around on. So I think that's where that concept came from.
So then you have, I think, riding the bike, like the ergonomics of it, and then the things that it does and doesn't have, make it pretty obvious. Well, it appears obvious from the outside looking in that the bike was kind of designed for a particular type of scenario, right? It feels to me like the bike was designed for more of a race-bred, race-enthused style of rider. Is that true? Or like how, with the seat, the non-functioning brake sensors right out of the gate, like all of that stuff, like like that is, you know what I mean? Like like that tells me that we're not like we're not playing
honestly,
this game.
we've just touched the surface with this bike.
Yeah.
What is coming will be like mind-blowing for most consumers. I think getting into, like you said, the brake sensors and all that stuff, the goal was to come out with a race-ready bike, and that is still the goal. That is our entire purpose behind the company. But we had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. We had to see what we were up against, what we're gonna do with the bike, and what it's actually capable of doing. So yeah, no, I feel like the bike is very well set up. We literally took a production bike, or not a production, a sample bike.
Right.
And we had it at the races, and we just sent a rider out on it, and he went out and won. We're like,
That's crazy.
we did not expect that, right? And then that's what's kind of transpired into, okay, we need to do this, that, and the other to really push that racing background into the company. And the biggest thing that is different from other companies, as you know, everything is designed in China and then shipped over here, right? There's no testing done in the US with more like smaller manufacturers and smaller companies, as far as like E-Ride and RAR and RFN. I'm not too sure with them. I think they're out of Australia. They're testing and development.
Yeah.
But our biggest thing is we have a US engineer, we have a US team, everything is tested and developed here, and then we're shipping that data to our own factory in China, right? And having it made. That's what's going to be a massive difference between us and the rest of the competitors.
Well, you see that it feels like it takes so long for these companies to finally listen to the most obvious of like frustrations from the community, right? One thing that we all deal with is swing arms, right? Yeah. One thing that we all deal with is chain guides. There's those issues that are just now like kind of starting to be listened to, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say like a reason that that's happening.
I know where this is coming.
Is that you have a bike now that is starting to solve those problems. And the only way, like competition like breeds success in that, you know, like the only way for these, if you come out with a bike that has all the things that these other bikes don't, and people are wanting to be competitive, then they have no choice but to land on the Torque.
Exactly. And I feel like when I was working with the other manufacturers, nothing was getting done, or it wasn't getting done on a timely manner. They were not listening at all, right? And the only way to do it is to do it and prove them wrong, and then they're going to have to copy. That's all they know how to do. Yeah. They don't know how to come up with new, fresh stuff.
Tell me how you really feel.
No, I'm being very transparent. It's just, that's the way this industry unfortunately works.
Yeah. Do you see an industry in the future that is radically different than the one that we have grown up in the emoto space? Like, do you always see that like the manufacturing and like the Chinese brands being in this? Or do you see a time at some point where like there'll always be Chinese manufacturing? Like there's no way to get around that.
Unfortunately, there's no way to get around Chinese manufacturing.
And I don't know if it's even unfortunate, to be honest with you.
It's not unfortunate because, I mean, America is built from China.
Right.
I mean, there's no getting around it. I mean, KTM's from China, Cobra's from China.
Right.
All these companies are from China. And I think that at some point, most of them are going to weed themselves out because they're not going to be able to keep up with what Americans are actually doing.
Right.
And that comes back to what Stark's doing, what Bonell's doing, what Dust is doing. They are setting the industry standard, and we're coming along as well. Now, we're here. Like, we're not messing around anymore.
So where do you see it? Like, where do you see like the Torque brand in 3 years? Like, obviously you've stayed up late at night looking at your ceiling.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like where do you see like this is like going for you guys? Like, what if you had a crystal ball or you had all the tools and you could say, hey, this is what I want out of Torque or just the industry as a whole in 3 years? Like, what are the staples?
I mean,
the must-haves?
You're always going to have those companies that are still popping in and out and making junk and selling it and doing all that stuff. And unfortunately, that's just the way that any industry goes, right? But I do see our goal for Torque is to become an actual OEM, right? That's our, between having the race model, or the race mentality, and being an OEM, that is our business model.
Right.
So that's where we see ourselves in the next 3 years.
So you want to be one of the brands that's like competing on the major stage, because at some point, right? Like at some point, there's going to be, whether it's an electric class or an electric and gas class in these supercross events. Like eventually, there's going to be something to that level that includes electric.
And that comes back to the race series and me being on that side of it, because I'm on both sides. Working, I'm still working with other manufacturers and bringing them in on the race series side to only help the industry. But I also have now, with the race series blowing up, I have phone calls coming in now from other venues that are saying, okay, now it's time, where they shut me down in the past. Right. And if you don't lean in this year, I mean, that's on you. So if you're a manufacturer that's not going to get involved, you're going to be behind and you're going to be gone.
Right.
So that's where I see that going. And that's what I mean by, or what you said is like, most companies are probably going to go away at some point.
Well, it's natural selection.
Exactly.
Like you're going to change and you're going to adapt and you're going to be willing to invest the time and resources into making this better, or you're just going to be obsolete.
Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate to where I had to go through the struggle with other manufacturers and other companies to where now I can do it and do it the right way. And that's where we're going to make the biggest change. And that comes back to dealers, right? Dealers are our working soldiers. If you don't take care of the dealers, you don't have a company, right? And we're only going direct to the dealer. We're not doing direct to the consumer. So that's going to make a massive wave through the entire industry with our company.
Well, I think, and realistically, going back to the OEM thing, right? Like nobody can buy from Yamaha.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
And right now we're in this humongous gray area where states don't know what to classify or how to classify. Is it an e-bike? Is it a motorcycle? What is it? So nothing has caught up to where if somebody doesn't start forging that, like in the direction of like, this is the thing that your bike must have. I want to ask you a question though, with your general standards, right, of the race series. This is kind of the race series question. What do you think the 4, 5, 6 classes should be? And then after you're done with that, this is something I'm always interested in, because Nate and I have had this conversation on several occasions. You don't know, like if you get protested at a motocross event and you got a kid, it's got a built motor and it's a bored out 140 racing 125, like the only way, like you have to protest it. And then you're the guy that has to protest the motor. They tear it apart. And if it's good, like, it's good. If it's bad, then they get disqualified. Okay. Doesn't matter. The race is over. So it doesn't matter. What are the power modes that you feel should be reasonable within specific wheelbases? Like, you don't have to get too crazy with this. And then how do you manage? How do you like prove it? How do you fight against that? Like, do you have a bunch of little dynos on the start gate?
I see where you're going with this, but I believe that at some point we're going to have to implement some type of tech with the race series. But for right now, I'm on the front lines. I'm watching every single class take off all the way from start to finish, right? And the other thing too is when I'm doing staging, I'm also walking the gate. I'm watching and looking at the bikes. I'm looking at batteries, controllers, motors, etc. And I'm going to call them out right on the gate. If I feel that bike is overpowered, I'm going to make them open it up. And I've already done it once. So I saw a bike with a controller and a battery. I couldn't tell with the motor right away, but he was sitting a little bit higher than where he should have been. So at some point, we're going to have to implement an official tech, and bring in 2 people to do tech and mark these bikes or sticker them. And then the other thing is we're going to have to tap into controller manufacturers on doing some type of race setting, where they can, once they're in that race mode, they cannot get out of that race mode, because right now with the EBMX and VTB,
change it on the fly.
It's a change on the fly. You
can change it in the first corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is like, if I did see that, I have everything like equipment wise to test that. Besides the dyno, like I can check their voltage, I can pop onto their bike and do that. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna fight it right now. for one, because we're building this.
Yeah, no,
right?
I hear you.
And once I get to that stage, it's going to take a little bit of that fun away.
Right.
Right. And I don't want to do that. I'm trying to bring a lot of that fun back to where I feel like that's where the moto industry is kind of going away. It's like, oh, we got to go do this damn race again, or we're going to Loretta's, or we're doing this, and we have to deal with that or this, and be in this kind of situation, and it's high stress. It's not fun, and you're spending a lot of money, and I'm not ready to go to that point yet.
But you do see a world where that is
it's
a
coming
reality.
very soon.
It's gonna
but
have to
I
be.
have to implement some type of program to not take the fun out of the racing.
Right.
Because there's already too many rules and regulations that these e-bikes are having to abide by.
Right.
And I just don't want to add anything more to make it harder on the kids to go do something.
So then back to Torque. How did you guys settle? Like how did it walk us through like the birth of this baby you lied about?
Well, it's not that I lied. I was on a contract, but it's just an NDA that I'm on, and at the time it wasn't anything too serious because it does take a long time to develop something like this and develop an actual product. So in the meantime, I was running other race teams and just doing my own thing and just slowly picking away at this and doing what I can, right? But this particular project started with the CEO, Joseph, and we had some really good people come in and really vamp this company and actually build a company. And there's two different sides, right? You can have a company, but you can have a product. But if you don't have both, then there's nothing. Right. So there was a product, and now we have the company.
Right.
So that's kind of where that whole thing started. And we are fully running with that.
So I feel like if you're going, based on your experience, right? You've seen tons of different frame designs. You've seen tons of different power outputs. You've seen
every single failure that you could probably imagine.
And like you've seen one controller location ever. What made you guys go the direction you did with having the controller underneath the fender? Like what was the thought process behind that, or was that like that's how it was going to work in this frame design? Like where
so
how did that come
a
about?
lot of it comes back to is like, for yourself, you have Electrix and you have warranty work and you have mechanics. Right. How much time do you want your mechanic working on that bike if there was a failure? Changing wiring harness, changing a controller
pain
out.
in the butt.
It
just costs the consumer more.
Exactly, it costs the consumer more. So the more I can weed out warranty issues and labor, it's only going to help the dealer and us as an OEM. Right. So that was one concept behind it. The other concept is racing. Right. If I got to do a controller swap, it's got to be very fast. So we can change that controller in under 5 minutes and have it programmed.
Well, and I did not even think about that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Just went through that scenario. We had a prototype controller we're testing. It failed, and we were able to swap it, on the fly. I'm not even exaggerating, under 5 minutes, and programming before I even had the seat back on.
Right. Like in the app and doing your thing.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is like time and efficiency behind that. And it also helps with the CG of the bike. So
talk me through it.
Yeah, we wanted to balance the bike a little bit more. We needed, a little bit more weight in the rear. As you guys know, these bikes are already super light. Our bikes only, depending on what scale you use, we found out.
But, well, they're all different.
They're all different. We're between 150 and 155 pounds.
Right.
That's super lightweight for this power that we're packing. But at the end of the day, we need a little bit more weight in that rear end to accommodate and put some more power to the ground. So that's where we went. It's not a lot of weight, a couple pounds.
Everything matters.
A couple
when you're
pounds,
talking about.
exactly. You go to NASCAR races or whatever, they're putting weights everywhere. And, that was a concept behind putting that controller there. And we also originally had an onboard charger that we were going to do, but that kind of flopped and through testing, and we just decided not to use that.
It's a charger already built in?
Charger built into the bike.
And
that was the third reason that the controller was sitting in the rear. So we had room for an onboard charger. So if you're riding around, you can just plug in and go anywhere. But again, regulations cracking down the streets, we can't promote that, and that's not what our company is about.
Right. So then you built the bike from the ground up. with all of these things in mind. How do you settle on like that, the right battery size with the right amount of power, with the right amount of distance, with, there's all those little things. What's the number one question everyone asks, right? When they see a bike, there's well, how far does it go? Like that's this thing that everyone wants to know. So how did you settle on that? Because like being race driven, I have been taught now that like, if I'm racing, I would rather come in at 0 with all the power, right? Or 10, whatever, with all the power and be able to swap a battery to keep the weight down, right? Just because the bike's lighter, it's more nimble, it's more fun to ride, all that stuff.
So it doesn't always come down to racing when you're going to an OEM production level, right? You have to hit every consumer and demographic possible. So there's a little balance in that. So we went with the 72, the 45 amp power.
Right.
And we went with the 45 because we didn't, with our motor, we have a QS on a gear reduction.
Right.
And that setup is so efficient that we didn't need to go to a 55 amp power.
Right.
Right now, we're seeing riders, hit a really good distance with this battery.
Right. Well, I mean, if you have all of those components, right, and then you have this frame design, like where does it even start? Because there's obviously, it shares a lot of similarities. Like all these bikes have like some similarities, right? Just the way they look, like their color is usually black, right? There's like this precious balance between not going bankrupt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like also not shortchanging the consumer, right?
Correct.
Because like the industry is big as it may feel, it's actually really, really small.
Yeah. So there's a really big give and take, when you're actually making the product. So one, you have to keep in mind the price point. We wanted to come in at a really fair price point for the power and weight that we're offering.
Right.
Right. So if we were to develop, everything that I possibly would want on the bike, then we're going to come in at super high price point and we're going to, just sell ourselves out at that point.
Right.
And that's not the motto that we could go with at the time. We have to, there's a balance between, production and money and everything else.
So you have obviously the race bike.
Yeah.
Vastly different than.
Honestly, it's not too much different. All that we have different on here is we're running a brand new Cirrus R38, which our engineer and Phil from Cirrus worked very, very hard on to get done before that AIM show.
Yeah.
So those were the first two in the world that we got to test. We built that swing arm alongside with them to debut that new rear shock.
Right.
Phenomenal rear shock, by the way.
That's all I hear.
We just tested
I don't
it.
expect anything less though.
No,
right?
exactly.
Like it's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah. And the funniest part was like, Phil is super anal, right?
Yeah.
Super anal about this stuff. He's like, I don't know if it's going to be right. I'm like, I know that you're going to come out to my race and you're going to adjust a couple clickers. The shock's going to be just okay.
For
what?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Where it's came to what you guys are producing is like a whole nother level.
Right.
It's a whole nother world.
Right.
It's, there's, it's so funny to me that they were like, I don't know if this prototype's going to work. I'm like, I'm like 200% confident your shock is just fine as a prototype model.
Yeah.
Like if any prototypes, you guys are like way ahead. Like
you guys your prototypes are everybody else's production.
Not even they're not even going to get that.
It's crazy.
Other people are not even going to get that level of respect. Like
so Cirrus then obviously like that this is probably, when people see whether people need it or not, the industry, right? We know that the aftermarket drives like consumer sales to a degree. And everyone's sitting here right now watching this bike with Cirrus on it. So is that something that's possible for a consumer now? Like, is that...
We're working on it on the back end. Again, it comes back to that rear shock. We just hammered out getting those prototypes done.
Yeah.
So I think... working and being aligned with Cirrus when they are going to release this rear shock to the public, we have to be ready, obviously, with our upgraded stuff to be available for them. So we're working on the back end right now with them to do a production model for this bike or this setup. So it'd be a race model, pro sport, and I'm excited for that.
So you think that's was there ever any other consideration for like race suspension? Was there ever like, did anything else ever cross your mind?
Yeah, there is a lot of people that, I mean, there's a couple of companies that obviously want to be involved, but again, I've been with Cirrus from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm very loyal to people, as you know, and there's no way I could.
No, well, I mean, it's also really hard to like, not.
For sure. I mean, the biggest thing is no other company is going to offer what Cirrus does as far as being on the ground level, I'm like, literally, we got the shock done and Phil's like, okay, we need to come test it. Boom, scheduled everything. They flew in and they're at the race testing and tuning that shock. No other suspension company can even remotely touch that.
Because are there really... Well, that's not fair. I don't want to...
There is suspension companies, but they
I don't
are
want to
not going to offer the same support that Cirrus does, and that's the biggest difference. And yeah, there's nobody that can even touch that service.
We sold a SX tune to a guy in California.
Yeah.
Okay. It was making different noises than what trail tunes or the Moto tunes make. He was sending us videos. We were sending them to Cirrus, like, you know, because it's the first, like, they don't even make SX tunes. Like, they're like custom made.
The SX tune came from me.
Yeah. So, but this guy had issues with it.
Yeah.
And because he was in California, Phil and them went to his house.
Unheard of.
They showed up at this just guy who bought a kit, his house, and they literally walked him through the engineering, the design, why it's making these noises, what he can expect. That's why I say, like, there are other companies, right? There's not many other, like, actual
I'm not
suspension
saying the other
companies
companies are bad at
No,
all. Like,
but
the suspension's good, don't get me wrong.
And don't expect everyone that, like, Cirrus is going to show up at your house and fix your shit. It was just happenstance. But the point is, it wasn't like...
But they handle their shit and get it done. No matter the circumstances, they get shit done.
Yeah.
Right? And that's our level of operation. If I don't have somebody on that same level, I don't want to operate on you.
You can't.
If you're not on my same frequency, I'm not going to operate with you.
Right. Well, it's going to be hard to, especially when in a market as fucking crazy as this one, where everybody's trying to come in and jump in and throw this new thing out. And like anybody who gets a bike, and like you see it on YouTube all the fucking time about like this bike is the best bike ever. No bike, period, is perfect.
No.
None.
Absolutely.
So when there is no mention of any negative of any bike in a video, you're just not being told the truth. There are nuances, there are personal preferences, like, and that doesn't make the bike good or bad. It just means that there are things that are going on in these bikes that you may love and I may hate.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I may hate your rise, you may love that rise. Like, there's stupid shit that, so when I hear these people saying like, well, this bike is great, it's this and that's, like, that's not, no, it's fucking not. Yeah. It's just not true. And it's okay to say that like things need to be better, because if people, especially like the YouTube world and that community, doesn't hold manufacturers and brands, I feel like that's what's gone on for so long, right?
Yeah.
Manufacturers and brands were not held accountable because they sold or sent some bike to some guy, an influencer, and now it's like this person is saying whatever, and it's just bullshit. It pisses me off. It really pisses me off because it happens at the highest level of the industry where people aren't truthful.
We're doing everything possible, but like you said, we're not going to have everything.
Right.
And that one thing is we don't have a Bluetooth BMS.
Right.
That everybody else has. But how do we offer that same price or that price point that people are looking for now, because the industry has changed?
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to go spend $8-9 grand or go build out a bike like they were used to doing with Sur-On.
Right.
They're not going to do that. It's that, and then the resale value on those bikes are like nothing.
Right.
They're losing all that money. So my goal is to build a bike that is obviously race ready with great components at the right price.
So then after all is said and done, like, how do you see a place where Torque has like a lineup of bikes? Do you see Torque where, like, I know nothing else is coming out anytime soon, right? Like, this is the bike and you want to work and take time to make this bike better, which I think is something that nobody else does. They chase that other brand and they're like, oh, well, 16 kilos, we got to have a 25 kilowatt bike. Like,
we are going to completely take the time to develop this bike to its full potential. When I feel that it's maxed out, then I'll move on.
Okay.
right? And it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, it could be 2 years.
Right.
Until I feel that the bike is completely maxed out, which is very close.
Right.
I feel like the bike is right there. Then I'll move on and I'll make something better for somebody else for the rest of, different classifications.
So do you feel like that is where, like, in 5
I mean, I'm really
years,
close with
like,
the
would
race,
you rather
this
have
race spec bike
Yeah.
with Cirrus
Right.
is pretty much the bike.
Right.
I mean, you can get on this bike right now and just beat the living shit out of it. We've already proven it.
Do you feel like there's a world where you have like a 7/8 bike, a mid-size bike, a small bike? Like, are you going to follow that same rabbit hole? Like, I'm not asking you to tell me if you're doing
my
that.
goal is to have a sequence of bikes and I don't want to call it a mini because I don't
Right.
want to follow that structure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't want to follow this. Mini, mid-size, and
7/8 or
whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it. I don't. My thing is to keep it like the Japanese did, where it's an OEM standard, where it's 65, 85, 125, 250, 450.
Okay.
Right. That is the structure that I am chasing.
Right.
And the sequence of operations with the bikes.
So then, what kilowatt rating would be a 65? Or would you do 50, 65, or just 60? It doesn't fucking matter. Let's just start at 65. There's already
65 probably do around like 13 kilowatts.
Okay.
That's somewhere in that spec range, 13,
Okay.
14. But getting the right motor, getting the right size battery, and having, there's going to be two consumers on those levels, right? You're going to have those people that go out to the desert and ride versus the track people.
Right.
So we have two different battery options, right? That's kind of in the works of what we're trying to accomplish right now.
Right.
Is how do we please these people with two different options, right? And that's coming down to, can we use one case on the battery, or we're going to have to offer two?
Right.
Right. And that's all stuff that we're working out on the back end right now.
So then your 65 would be the 13, 14 kilowatts. What would your 85? Like, I'm just curious of, like, because we did
85, I feel like we're there now with this 16.8, maybe somewhere get into 18 to 20.
Yeah.
Super mini
So like,
power.
if you, from a race series perspective, like, and obviously you're probably going to intend to follow this philosophy at Torque, but like from the perspective of like your 65, 85, all your bikes, where do you see, what power rating should each one of those classes be? So if you got 14 on your 65, you got 16 to 18 on your
where the
85.
industry is going to go is that a lot of these promoters are going to have to get on board of allowing these e-bikes to race with the gas.
Yeah.
Right. So if we are in that same target of power and considering weight considerations, then we have to come out with something similar to what those gas bikes are putting out. Right. So that it's a fair playing field.
Right.
And again, it's going to come down to us coming up with an idea to where these race promoters can't say no, because we do have a race lockout setting.
Right.
Where we can't pull more power. So if you're in a stock 85 class,
right,
you can do that. But honestly, I would like to see the industry not really go that way.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Kinda
to where
sounds
the electric is against the gas, because I don't think it's safe, for one.
Right.
But we're going to have to do what we have to do
right,
in order to get the industry off the ground even more than what we're already doing. But I would like to see both of them separated. Race promoters have electric race series, and then there's the gas race series.
Right.
Or the electric has its own classes at different races that are combined.
Right. So they don't have to have two events. They can have one event.
They can have one event
and include everybody. Yeah.
Include everybody. Right. Because a lot of these bikes are going to turn into practice bikes for these kids, because they're not going. All these private test tracks are going to start getting messed with again with the noise of the gas. Mm-hmm. So what are they going to go to when like your son? You need a 85 to practice on.
Right.
What's he going to ride?
Yeah.
He needs an electric bike.
Dude, we have had that conversation so many times about buying him a Stark just so he can practice on it.
Yeah.
Just so he can but
a lot of big pro race teams are doing the same thing.
Because I don't have to rebuild it. I don't have to do shit.
Exactly. You don't have to
I don't have to
charge, chain, lube the chain, and you're done.
Yeah, and literally he can ride it for 10,000 miles, and no rebuilds, no nothing, no oil, nothing.
It's a one-time investment.
Yeah, it literally, and I think that's like where I see like a lot of the stuff playing into is the simplicity of it, the ease of this industry is what is driving it, right? We're driving it, but like also the culture, and that's one thing. Like when you say I'll tell you how I feel, like what my brain tells me initially. Like when you say like manufacturers, OEMs following these specific guidelines, like I almost fucking hate it. I get it, but I almost hate it, right? Because I think it's pretty cool that a Suron can have 40 kilowatts, like a light B. Although that's dumb and unnecessary,
Yeah,
I just don't want to like chop that off in our pursuit of being the next whatever, like OEM, major OEM thing, right? Like I don't want to kill the pursuit of like this fun toy that has all these
Yeah, and
available
that's
power
the other
mods.
thing that we have to consider too, is it's still, if we have to consider that fun toy feeling, in that aspect of it. It's just,
I just feel like
there's so many things to capture and do and try to make right. But again, you have to go down, what avenue fits best.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to be able to pivot when the industry pivots.
Right.
So with us, I feel like we can pivot, extremely fast where a lot of people can't.
You went after the best portion of the market.
Yeah.
Because at 16.8 kilowatts for an experienced rider, you have to ride it on the rails. And that's fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't get me wrong, I love the SR. I think it's a cool bike and I got one, all that fun shit. But at the end of the day,
you can't put the power to the ground.
At the end of the day, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, it's so small.
But that's like what's Stark. I mean, a lot of people, once you go to that Stark, you're like, okay, I could really get messed up on this thing.
Done.
Right? Or
quick.
I can ride this, have fun, and I know I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Safer. Much safer.
Safer.
And like if I have to pick this bike up off the ground, it sucks way less.
Yeah.
Like so much less, you know? And like in the thing that I like about like the Stark, I get it. And I think, quite honestly, like Stark is like leading the charge here with all of this stuff. And I'm curious your opinion on this, but like they can't repurpose their bike anymore. Like there's no more options, right? So they have to do one of two things.
They have to start going down.
They have to start going down.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a reality? Like, do you see that as like something that could take shape for them?
I think it would be a good idea for them because it only creates more opportunity for the industry to chase them.
Yeah.
And it creates, more sales and everything else, and it pushes people. If there's no push, there's no industry. Right. So if they're setting the standard, then everyone's going to push to be on that level.
Right.
So
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which and I think
I'm pretty sure they already have a midsize in the works anyway.
I mean, I'm sure, dude. They probably got all kinds of shit in the works. You know what I mean? Like that dude's a psychopath, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
If we go back, I don't know, 24 months. Did you expect, and this is where you'd be sitting, like this has always been your thing, like you wanted to have a bike? Obviously, you've been working on these bikes for freaking ever. Like, is this where like you? Like,
it just had to come to this point because nobody was doing what needed to be done. Right. So now it's here, and they're gonna have to play catch up because I'm gonna actually do it.
Right.
Like that's just.
You're gonna have to move to China, bro.
Well, we're going soon. I'll be getting my office set up soon.
Yeah, dude.
I'm serious.
They're going to be like, oh, no, the pissed off Americans here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they aren't used to moving as fast as the American people. Like everything here is rush, get it done, get it done.
Right.
Over there, it's like, oh, no, we have to take this step. We have to put this program in. We have to write this out. And then we can start.
Right.
Like, no, just do it this way, and this is the way we're going to do it. So they're not used to that, but they're learning.
They're a bunch of crazy people running around a big-ass factory freaking out.
Yeah, no, we're definitely freaking them out a little bit, but it's okay.
That's what it takes.
They're going to learn.
So we have 2026 and what I'm hearing around like this is the platform, right? Like you're building off of this. It's only about these next however many months is about dialing this bike in, making it better, and just ultimately like giving people the best bang for their buck.
Get as much feedback as possible from everybody, and I'm going to take it, even though I do know what we need to do for the future, and I already have stuff in the works for the future. But yeah, I'm just going to listen to what people say and let them enjoy it.
So I think, how has the Torque done at EMR?
Actually, surprisingly good. Beyond what I actually expected, to be honest with you. I didn't think that it would be able to do what it did. And we actually I threw in both of our racers in the pro or open small bike class. and they put a spanking on some of the 25 kilowatt bikes.
Really?
So that was pretty impressive to see. Right. There was a local pro that he won on the 25 kilowatt bike, but we still came in second.
Right.
And so we're sitting second overall in points on that class. Right. And then the 13 to 16 kilowatt intermediate class, that's our primary class that we're in right now, right. And we're sitting 1-2. So sick. I mean, both of our riders literally went over the line with like a half a bike between them two.
That's crazy.
So now I got a little rivalry going on under our tent, which is
nice.
I'm trying to cool down our own team. I'm like, you guys, you're on the same team. It's like,
but I mean, there's
and we're there, and the honestly, the goal for Torque right now isn't about winning.
Right.
Our goal is testing and developing and R&D at those races. Right. That's what we're getting. We're taking that data, we're utilizing that data. Like example, we're testing chains, durability. We're testing controllers, suspension, the swing arm, different tires, different wheels.
So when they show up, like whoever you're racing for, you're like they could show up tomorrow and like things are different. Like you swap tires, you put a different chain, or do you consult them? Like how? No, because obviously, like
they understand what's going on. We have a little group feed, and they're up to par, and I'm making sure that they know what's getting changed. And before they go to race, I'm like, for example, we have a stock bike and we're testing your chain. I'm like, hey, if this chain stretches too much, you need to watch it. Just be aware and listen to your bike when you're out there, and be aware of what's actually going on, right? So no, I'm very up to par with making sure they're aware of the changes that are happening. And for example, the race bike, we just changed our bar mount system. We had a direct mount grit shift on here, and I needed a little bit more height. Our riders are a little bit taller, so I went to the Warp 9 setup. And we changed actually the entire bar itself. We had a ODI CR high bend in order to get the height out, but the bars were actually not sitting in the right position where they should be. So I switched to an entire different bend and made the handling a lot better in that aspect. I've changed tires. I've gone from Dunlop. Now we're over to the Pirelli Scorpion, and we're on a medium compound versus a soft compound, and that's been working really well for us. And that tire is a little bit lighter than the Dunlop, so we're able to pull a little bit more power. We're testing gear oil. What weight can we get away with, and how much power are we going to lose? The less drag you have on these e-bikes, the faster they're going to go. It's the same thing as like RC cars. Right. Less drag, the faster you're going to.
RC cars. My man over there is in it right now.
Man,
he's deep.
Yeah.
He's deep. He's rock crawling. He's crazy. I'll tell you what.
That's worse than doing drugs. I know. You should probably spend less doing drugs than being an RC car.
Being a heroin addict is cheaper than being a fucking RC guy. Well, dude, it's sick to see that it's cool to see. It's cool to see like the development, the advancement, the growth, the maturity. Like things are coming along, and I think when we look back in 5 years, I think people will probably have to like put you on the wall somewhere and say like, this is the reason why we moved in a better direction, and it wasn't the wild west.
Yeah, I mean, I really do hope so, and that'd be a big blessing, honestly.
Well, you got to get back to California, boy.
Actually, we're heading to Glendale Supercross
that's right
now.
All right, so you're good. So you got a couple of days. All right. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you coming down here. It's kind of a haul. And we're looking forward to more from Torque.
Yeah, we'll see you guys out there.
Cool.